Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We are continuing our series of discussions of the texts from Bhaktitirtha Maharaj's books about internal dialogue. Okay, so this section is called Choosing Love Over Fear, and this is an excerpt. Our fears often revolve around those things that we most value. For instance, we may fear that a situation will not unfold according to our desires, and we often place so much of our mental energy into such an anxiety. This type of mentality is dangerous because if it begins to encompass us and form a part of our internal dialogue, we may even cause our worst fears to manifest. The mind is even more powerful than our physical actions and our speech. The subconscious mind does not always recognize the difference between a positive and a negative. It simply hears the continuous flow of thoughts. For instance, if we try to overcome an addiction, but just continue to repeatedly tell ourselves to stop the bad habit, our constant meditation on it may even lead to more of the same negative patterns. The subconscious mind normally only receives an impression of what you present to it, instead of distinguishing between the negative and the positive. Now, I don't understand these things about subconscious mind and the conscious mind, but one thing that Maharaj is saying here is to to not focus on something that is wrong or something that is negative, whether telling ourselves to stop it or just being absorbed in it. So just to focus our mind on something spiritual and something positive. And in this way, just choose what kind of internal dialogue we will have. So we can choose how we talk to ourselves. We can choose our self-talk. And yesterday we spoke about observing the mind. So actually when you observe the mind, you can understand that you are not the mind, and then you can understand that you can choose what you think, and choose what you feel, and also choose what you desire. So these are three functions of the mind. Then in the 32 ways to cope with depression, Bhaktitirtha Maharaj makes a point here about positive internal dialogue. We are more what we think and tell ourselves than what we say or do. So you are what you think. So this is part of our identity, Maharaj says. Okay, so the next one is from questions and answers at the end of one of the chapters. Okay, let's see. Your point is profound because people are not only afraid of failure, but they are also afraid of success. The subconscious mind is more powerful than the conscious mind. Although we might consciously speak and act in a certain way, if the subconscious mind continues to say no, it will win over. We talked about this in our discussion on the internal dialogue. There are people, and even devotees, who fail or run away from a goal because they are afraid of success or afraid of what it may mean. However, if we think more in terms of short-term goals as well as long-term goals, we will have less fear because we will focus on achievements that make us happy. In this way, we do not have to feel overly anxious about its implications later. Rather, we can just work progressively until we have the ability to reach that bigger goal. Then there is one section called What Supports Gratitude. And Maharaj says, ironically, as devotees advance in spiritual life, the Lord will actually move them towards the center and glorify them. But in their own consciousness, they must continue to move away from the center. Therefore, wonderful things genuinely happen to them and around them because they have a sense of gratitude and deeply honor the presence of the Lord. They honor His presence to such an extent that they practically become like His puppets. At the highest level, a conditioned soul can act as a Shaktavesha avatar or an empowered living entity who serves as an incarnation of the Lord. Ooh, this is this is heavy stuff. Shaktavesha avatar. It's dangerous. I think it's dangerous to think like this. They have moved so far from the center that the real center or God actually enters into them in a dominant way and uses them. At this point, whatever they say, do or think depends on the way God guides them. Again, it depends on the extent to which a person imbibes this sense of gratitude as well as mindfulness. Without sufficient mindfulness and a strong positive internal dialogue, we will find it difficult to access gratitude. Mindfulness means being careful and conscious, as far as I understand. So Maharaj says that mindfulness and the positive inner dialogue are facilitating gratitude, supporting gratitude. And of course, if gratitude is a part of our internal dialogue, then our internal dialogue is a high quality internal dialogue. That's, it's amazing. So gratitude is very important part of high class and spiritual internal dialogue. Then from the same section, another text, what supports gratitude. Once we accept a person as our enemy, it means that we must now try to destroy him or her. Consequently, we become like that person. But as we honor the presence of God and remove ourselves from the center, then we do not feel attacked, and we do not have to respond in such a negative way either. We can continue absorbing ourselves in love and devotion while glorifying the Lord instead of allowing such distractions to capture us. Without sufficient mindfulness, a strong positive internal dialogue, gratitude, a sense of forgiveness, and the attentive observance and eradication of the enemies of the mind, a person will surely become distracted and the mind will become the greatest enemy. So I don't know what Maharaj considers to be the enemies of the mind. I haven't seen the list. But I know for sure that there are 6 enemies of the mind: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya, and Moha. Lust, anger, greed, madness, illusion, and envy. And that this is what we don't want to have in our mind. These 6 enemies, or 6 highway robbers. Okay, so let's see now the next. It's from questions and answers. The next text. Our low self-esteem makes us feel that we are not worthy of God's arrangements, care, and love. Such an internal dialogue shuts the Lord out and denies His mercy. So here he says that this negative self-talk, low self-esteem, low self-esteem and negative self-talk, they actually go together. because you're saying yourself, I'm not worthy, I'm bad, I'm not worthy, I'm bad, I'm not worthy, I'm useless, I'm incapable. And this kind of self-talk is a result of low self-esteem. And now this is also a big topic about self-esteem. I don't want to get into this now, but I have my understanding of self-confidence, self-esteem, and these buzzwords from the New Age world, or from the success teachings of mundane teachers. So, but I don't want to speak about this now. Now I will speak about this in some other occasion. So, he says that this kind of how you say, this kind of internal dialogue shuts the Lord's out and denies His mercy. So we want to be open to receiving the mercy. We want to be a receiver of mercy. So therefore we have to stop all the mental habits that stop the mercy. At least this is how I understand this. Another section is called the necessity of enthusiasm. If we look at spiritual success and even secular success or material success, we will see a connection between enthusiasm, patience, conviction, and determination. Such qualities are, of course, spiritual. Conversely, if we look at failure, spiritual or secular, we will see a constant manifestation of lack of enthusiasm. So great saints and devotees such as Srila Rupa Goswami list enthusiasm as one of the primary tenets that help us surrender to the Lord. So the word is utsaha. Why does enthusiasm play such an important role? It should be evident because we all notice the effects of a lack of enthusiasm. So it means it should be obvious. The demands of the senses increase the enemies of the mind, such as kama, lust, krodha, anger, lobha, greed, moha, illusion, matsarya, enviousness, and mada, madness, and they attack us. Not only do the 6 enemies devastate us, their close associates such as mana, pride, bhaya, fear, shoka, lamentation, and vishada, depression, also attack us. Each of these enemies can infiltrate our minds and engulf our consciousness, particularly when we lack enthusiasm. This should help us understand the power of enthusiasm because it builds our spiritual immune system and provides a unique type of protection. When we are enthusiastic, we are more mindful and grateful, we have more short and long-term goals, and, most important, we have a powerful internal dialogue. In the absence of enthusiasm, we will experience more disturbances because we will not have the potency to dispel attacks. So here is wonderful points. Maharaj speaks about spiritual immune system. We can call it SIS, spiritual immune system. So spiritual immune system, as far as I understand, is something that you use to protect yourself from Maya, or from the illusory energy, and from the attack of the lower modes of material nature. And Maharaj says that enthusiasm is a great protective shield. Enthusiasm is a protection against this material energy, influence of the material energy. And the first item of the 6 favorable things for devotional service in the Upadeshamrita, or Nectar of Instruction by Srila Rupa Goswami, is utsaha, and utsaha is enthusiasm. The next text is from the section called going deeper by pretending? Sometimes when we struggle, we maintain our negative thinking, meaning that we will simply struggle more in the future. When we think positively during a struggle, we will experience beneficial change in our lives because the present thoughts will take us out of the challenge. Some healthy karma from the past will also come and will meet the good present thoughts. If we keep reminding ourselves of our real identity, maintain a healthy internal dialogue, and remain grateful and mindful, we will be able to move through such intervals in which we experience difficulties based on unhealthy thoughts or actions from the past. It could also stem from a temporary poor mood at that time. Conversely, we might have a period of growth and then begin to take things for granted. Later, some of the unhealthy thoughts and actions from the past come to meet us. Although we may have been thinking positively, if we are not going deeper, such past influences will shift our mood. Basically, at any given time, there is effort along with the grace and karma. We just have a couple of more texts from the questions and answers, and we will be completing our discussions on internal dialogue based on the books of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. However, if we continue to consider change impossible, represented by our unhealthy internal dialogue, we will go on artificially and maybe even talk about the authentic, but we will continue in the same life space. We will hold onto the rope for a period of time, but if we do not understand that we can get out of the well by pulling upward, the restrictions and limitations of the well will just capture us. We will gradually accept that unnatural situation as our permanent reality. Once we let go of the rope, we either lose our chance for liberation, or we get so captured by our failure that we lose enthusiasm, blaspheme and offend others, or scapegoat due to our misery. In many cases, it means another lifetime and body in which we will get another field of activity. We will have another chance to grab the rope, but hopefully this time we will hold on tight. Okay, here we also have a question. I have saved the question too. Somebody asked the question of Maharaj. Are you saying that we should basically accept the possibility and desire for full God consciousness to happen in our present life, because then that will occur? Answer: absolutely, yes. Accept the available reality and be spiritually greedy. If we do not accept the realities or the possibilities, how can we endeavor to reach that goal? If we do not accept it, it indicates that our internal dialogue just revolves around impoverishment, defeat, and limitations. We will simply think that the Lord does not treat us fairly. Even though we are artificially speaking differently, we are not really pretending or accepting the different thoughts. So here is some very important points about one habit that conditioned souls have, is that they think that the Lord is treating them unfairly. The Lord is treating them unfairly. So this is not true. Actually, if you become a devotee, then you get less than you deserve. You get less karma than you deserve. Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajan. This is explained in the Brahma Samhita, and also in the Bhagavatam it is explained Tatenu kampam susamikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam tad vapurbir vidadan namaste sadayabhak. The devotee knows that he gets less karma than he deserves, so he never thinks that the Lord is treating him unfairly. This is such an important point. So therefore his negative inner dialogue should never be about the Lord, that the Lord has abandoned me, the Lord doesn't love me, he has left me, and he is treating me unfairly, and why I should go through this, and similar thoughts. And if one thinks like this, he also cannot be grateful to the Lord. Okay, this is the epilogue. I think it's the epilogue of the Spiritual Warrior 5, one of the books by Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. Okay, so we just have two more texts. Wounded or not wounded, if you develop a more positive internal dialogue, focus on concrete, short as well as long-term goals, short-term goals as well as long-term goals, then maintain an attitude of gratitude, act with constant enthusiasm, be profoundly mindful at all times, plan for a perfect escape, and go deeper by healthy, comprehensive pretending, you can join as a leader in the transcendental army of spiritual warriors. Yes, the enemies of the mind are getting stronger, but the spiritual warriors' ranks are also increasing. As they meet up and join in forces, their love and concern for the rescue of this planet intensifies exponentially. Beloved, join up in order to experience this cosmic, euphoric, blissful, animated association and love. Start by pretending that you are already with us, because you are. This is epilogue, the last words in the book. And then from some other book also, questions and answers, the last text we will read today and discuss or comment. A devotee once asked his teacher if he should offer obeisances even if he doesn't genuinely feel like it. The spiritual master replied that he should continue to do the act because the proper action will gradually lead to the proper consciousness. We have pretended for so long to have various limitations. Therefore, we cannot simply change by going to a few seminars. The mind will continue to reject the reality. We have to put the same energy into pretending to be different, or I would say behaving as if we are different, or behaving in a proper way, even if we don't feel like it. For example, if someone walks into the room and you pretend that the person loves you deeply, you will in turn radiate a very positive mood towards that person. Actually, we are beautiful, we are loved, and we are protected. The soul has all of these qualities in its relationship with God. When we maintain a negative internal dialogue and pretend to accept our false selves, we will only increase our incarceration. However, we can use that same level of intensity to pretend ourselves into our ultimate reality, or to behave ourselves into our ultimate reality. So, by changing consciousness, so we attack the enemy from two sides. This is our approach. We don't attack the enemy only from one side, or we don't fight only from one side. So, on the external level, we are behaving as if we are a devotee, although we don't feel like. Sometimes we don't feel like we are a devotee. But we behave because we know it is right, and our own external behavior affects our consciousness. But on the inside, we also consciously cultivate higher consciousness from which the better behavior will come by reading, by hearing about Krishna, but hearing about saintly personalities and saintly qualities, by learning what are the instructions and how to act, how to behave, what to avoid. So we are contemplating about this, we are thinking about this. We are basically, we want to make our mind a saintly person, then our behavior will also be saintly. So the mind should become beautiful if we want to have a beautiful behavior, kind behavior, compassionate behavior towards other people. So I would say the last instruction of Maharaj, the last point is to use the same level of intensity that we have for material things, that to actually make an effort to behave and to think like a devotee. This is, in my understanding, the summary or the essence. And the internal dialogue is such an important thing. How do you explain to yourself what is happening? How do you perceive? This will influence the way you talk to yourself, and then from this self-talk, everything else will come. Your behavior, your action, your results. So therefore, it's very important to become aware how we talk to ourselves, to observe several times during the day and make the necessary corrections so that our internal dialogue is positive and spiritual. Thank you very much for listening. If you want to have my compilation of Maharaj's quotes, based on which I was giving this little seminar or presentations, then you can actually contact me and I will send you this compilation of quotes. So all the materials based on which I was speaking in the last several sessions is available in written form. It's a compilation of quotes from Bhaktitirtha Maharaj's books, and I have it in a notepad file, and if you just contact me here on Facebook or on WhatsApp, I will send it to you. So thank you very much for listening, and I wish you good fortune. Hare Krishna.